You're now listening to the Creatives and Design Cast with your host, Teron Joyner. Creatives and is a podcast for individuals with a love for design, art, and business combined. This is an A to Z guide for those trying to balance and navigate life through the creative perspective, from personal to business and everything in between. Be sure to subscribe and catch new episodes available wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us at Creatives and on all platforms. Have a topic in mind? Submit your ideas to creativesand@1991.agency. Here's your host, Teron Joyner.
Hey guys, it's Teron Joyner. Thank you for tuning in again to the Creatives and Design Cast. This episode is Creatives and Trusting the Process with guest Nathan Allotey. I am super excited to share this episode with you guys because Nathan drops a lot of gems, and thank God for Nathan because he was so patient with me. Corona has had me home with the kids and the dogs. There were so many noises going around, but of course I edited them out so you guys can hear all the good information and tips that both of us share on this episode. So without further ado, here is Creatives and Trusting the Process with Nathan Allotey. Thanks for tuning in to the Creatives and Podcast. This is your host, Teron Joyner. Today's episode is Creatives and Trusting the Process. I have Nathan Allotey, who is a web designer, digital marketing strategist, business coach, public speaker, and host of Freelance Jumpstart Podcast, which is a step-by-step course for freelancers looking to grow their business. Welcome, Nathan. Thank you for getting on with me after all the technical difficulties.
We had a couple of glitches, but that didn't stop us. We were able to get on now, so I'm happy to be here.
So in the questions that I sent, you see that there are some icebreaker questions just to, get the conversation going. So I'm going to ask you those first. And I hope that
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, cool. So if you were a type of food, what would it be?
I think I would be. Okay, I think I'd be a piece of red velvet cake.
Red velvet cake. Wait a minute. With the nuts, or without the nuts? Really? Those are good slices of cake. I tend to stay away from them. I have such a sweet tooth. Okay. So how would your parents describe what you do?
My parents are from West Africa, Ghana. So my mother would say, Nathan makes websites. She would just say websites, technology, something, and then she'd hand me something with technology to fix. And I was like, Mom, I do like digital marketing, but she probably wouldn't say it that clear. So
yeah, I understand that. It's different. I have a client who actually has a media platform.
Nice.
And they are highlighting a series with oh goodness, what's her name? Yvonne Orji from Insecure, and talking about first generation children, who have African parents, and just kind of breaking that mold of you're either going to be a doctor or, someone in the medical
lawyer,
field. So
it's doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Yeah. So it's just interesting to see, the, I guess, unconventional ways that, people who have African parents, what you guys are doing to just break that mold. Okay, next question is, what makes you feel inspired?
No, honestly, what makes me feel inspired is just seeing people succeed, but then finding a little bit of the backstory because, oftentimes it reveals they're not so different from me. So just seeing people, I guess you could say underdog stories, overcoming hardship, just seeing people thrive and then doing some homework to find out how did they get to where they are, because a lot of times it's not so far-fetched. It's something that, you can do as well.
Yeah. A lot of people find those stories relatable. And I think that so the good thing about social media is that, people are able to kind of see that other side, not just I was down and out and now I'm successful. And that's all it took. Well, you get to see the steps and, support some of those local businesses or your friends and stuff and really see them grow. So I think that's cool. That's a good source of inspiration. All right, now that the ice has been broken,
Let's go.
Let's get down to creatives and trusting the process. And the reason why I chose you for this episode was just because I listened to you on Badass Creatives, and you were, talking about how you got from, I guess, A to Z in a sense. You took your MBA and you used it, for not what someone with an MBA, you think they go into a certain category of, work or their career. You took that and shifted it and made it yours, and you're helping other people, with that business sense. So I thought that was really cool. And I wanted to hear more about how you got to where you are.
Yeah, thank you for thinking about
and
me.
How trusting the process. Yeah, of course. So what are you working on now?
Yeah, so still do digital marketing, web design. One thing specifically, I was looking for a book. I had a book on my desk, but one thing specifically that I'm trying to focus and shift on is, and I have a whole video explanation about this, but a lot of times as creatives, you get put in a category of what I call creating and development. People come to you because they want you to make something. Make me a flyer, make me a website, make me ads for Facebook, make me, like I said, in my case, a website. Make me a video. A lot of times with creative professionals, you want to create some type of deliverable, but oftentimes you don't always get paid for your thinking. More than likely, there's something special about the way your process, the way you go about doing whatever the deliverable is, that truly holds value. So at least for me, I've always done some type of strategy with clients I talk to, trying to find out what is your end goal and how can we best get there when it comes to strategy. But I never necessarily charged for it on its own. So now what I'm really working on is, it's going to be a little bit of, I can't say rebranding. It's more so reformat. I can say rebranding. It's going to be a little bit of rebranding and reformatting. If you want to use anything creative that I have to offer, you have to do strategy. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. And I heard you talk about that before on your podcast. And, I couldn't agree with you more because, the minute someone asks you to do something, you're automatically thinking about it. And then, part of what you do when you're spending time on your phone, you're looking for ideas, to kind of prepare yourself. And you're right. We don't think about that as time that, should go towards billable hours, getting paid at all. So, yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that. I want to hear more about that. So what led you to want to start teaching yourself web design?
Yeah, so when I graduated from college, trying to find a job, I got a job I didn't find a job immediately, right? There was a delay. So I was like, man, I got to get paid somehow. So I started working at a web hosting company. Because my friend said, Nathan, you're good with technology and stuff. In my undergrad, I did electrical and computer engineering. So he was like, I know you're good with computers, kind of. You might want to check out this hosting company they're hiring. And, applied, got the job. And the amount of people who were, now the main thing that we did was we offered web hosting space. So we offer a server in the space, and we would answer support questions. I did everything for that company. So I did quite a bit. Like not everybody did what I did, which was like I could close the sale, set up a server, and then like support. Not everybody could do everything, all the above. But yeah, regardless, the amount of clients who wanted a website, kind of blew me away. And all I could say sometimes is, hey, I set you up on a hosting environment. I gave you some advice. I set up WordPress. I can't build it for you. So like, this is where, a wall is up. I can't. But the amount of people, which is hundreds of thousands of people asking for websites, I was like, this has some potential. So, after work, I just would find different tutorials online and just try to, recreate things, emulate things, learning Photoshop, Dreamweaver at the time,
Man,
what did I start using first? I forget. I started using some, Notepad++. And, just learning how do you build a website. So yeah, that was, it's a lot easier now. There's tons of tutorials down, but Back then, it took some time for me to find the trusted information, and that's really what started it.
Yeah, it's become a lot easier. So kudos to you for that. Because I used to look at Dreamweaver like, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best, but
part.
they got good solutions now. So that's what's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. So when you were teaching yourself web design while getting your MBA, was there ever a time that you did not trust the process? Like, was it ever like too much? Like,
to be honest, there's some years in my MBA, I honestly don't really remember how I finished everything that I had to do. I just remember waking up, I think doing a little bit of homework and stuff, going to work, doing things on my lunch break, then like going to class at night, and somehow between nighttime and the weekends serving clients as well. So like, I don't remember how I got all that done, but me personally, to more directly answer the question, for me, it was more about while being in a process of, at least in my case, I would say learning at that point in time, it was more so about whatever you do learn, make sure you apply it. So, how that relates to being and trusting the process is, the process is a process. So recognize what step you're at and then make sure to apply whatever it is that you have to learn at that time, because if you don't get it, you're probably going to have to repeat something. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just learning something and like immediately try to put it into action, whatever it is that I've learned, picked up, or gleaned from wherever I'm at.
Yeah, and I think that will help, not get stuck, because you're like, okay, I couldn't have done this without knowing, this knowledge that I picked up. And so I think a lot of people get stuck there because they want to get so much done and haven't, thought about it being a process, like you said. So that's good insight. What was the hardest part about the change that came about when you decided to fully trust your process for your business? It's like a long question.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about it?
Well, I'll answer this from both ways. I'd say one way is you can be quick and nimble when it comes to business. You can try something out, and if it's not working, change it. But at the same time, you might have to play the patience game as well, because maybe you're trying something and it could be it's not working and you need a new strategy, but maybe you're trying something because not enough time has gone by. I'll give an example. Like a lot of people throw their hands up and say, I'm not getting clients. Where do you find clients? I can't get clients. When it comes to getting clients or finding clients, and it's definitely going to be like this, especially after this pandemic and all that. But a lot of times, let's just say you want or need 5 clients. You might have to contact 50 people to get just 5. Yeah. So in that case, if you're at, person number 13 and you're like, this is not working, I'll try something else. You just weren't patient enough. You might get up to 50.
Right.
So just to kind of distill that down, I would say, at least in relation to what I mentioned about trusting the process, whatever process that you have, set a goal and then set limits for that goal so that you can say to yourself, I'm moving on to something else because I didn't meet this goal in this amount of time or whatever it might be, rather than just saying, it's not working. Okay. So when trusting the process is literally just, am I giving myself the proper allotted time and effort for this process to even work? So yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah. You got to be consistent, I think consistency is key. And I know that's kind of like one of those cliche things at this point. It's been reposted everywhere. But I mean, it's really true, because if you don't stick to your guns, then it's like right there, as soon as you could have broken through, you just get tired. But I mean, running a business, a successful business, is always going to be, consistency and change and willing to, be open-minded. So I understand that. 3 quick words, describe what trusting the process means to you.
I said this a little earlier, but patience,
Patience.
frustration. So patience, frustration, and then lastly, I'd say wisdom.
That's good. And here I said patience, patience, patience.
Hey, that works too.
What's a common myth about being a creative that you want to debunk?
Probably the biggest thing that I would say in debunking a common myth is, and I've spoken to it a little more recently, is there's this idea that being a creative is somewhat of a commodity. I was going to drop the name of a company, but I was like, I don't know if they're your sponsor, so I'm not going to say that. But I'll say it like this: there's certain companies that exist out there that make it seem like all creatives are equal, and that causes a race to the bottom in terms of price. All designers are created equally. It's just a matter about who's the cheapest, and that's not true because. Right. Just like I'll use it. I like using analogies. Just take it and put it somewhere else. So let's say actors, right? There's many actors, thousands of actors, if not millions. They're not all the same. And if you don't get the right actors in your movie, regardless of how well you've prepared or written a script or done whatever, the movie might not go as you want. And you waste money and lose opportunity. So all creatives are not equal. And that speaks back to the whole getting paid to think thing, where there's some creatives that offer a different value beyond just their creative skill. And that's something to pay attention to. It can even be customer service, right? But so that's the biggest thing I'd say. All creatives are not equal. All web designers are not equal. All illustrators are not equal. All hand letterers are not equal. And sometimes they come across as a commodity, and they're really not.
Yeah. And then you have to think, about people who put, money back into their business, to learn more and, offer different things. Like you offer courses. I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, you don't have to, but it can be helpful.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things that, I want to get to eventually, but I have to, consider, of course, working from home. Now the children are not online learning anymore. So I have to, slow a few things down, rearrange a few dates.
Yeah.
Because it's just different. But, I have been able to adjust my pricing, the more I've invested in myself. And I've run into those people that are just like, well, my friend can do it. My cousin can do it. It's just like, okay, but your cousin's not
Correct.
me, but, do you? Yeah, do you? I know what I've invested into my business, and I'll find somebody, who will understand, what I do and see me for what I am and what I've, worked so hard.
Yeah, one exercise I like telling people to do is just to kind of capture whatever your value is sit down and write. This is going to sound very general, but I'm being for real. Write down everything you've learned. I mean, you can write down high school. You can write down college if you went to university. You can write down online courses that you've taken. You can write down coaching calls that you've had online, books that you've read. Write that down, because when you start to write those things down, it builds confidence to show, like, I have value in all these things that I've learned.
Yeah, you talked about that on Traffic Talk.
Yeah, but I really truly believe that, because a lot of people don't think about it. I guess I'll say it like this: when you're a creative professional and you're surrounded by other creative professionals, you start to think everyone knows all this stuff, but no, they don't. So Not everybody might have read all the books that you've read. And if you've read those books, you've learned something. Or even the YouTube videos you watch. Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't know how to do Facebook ads today. You watch YouTube videos for a week and now you know how to do it. Some people don't even put in that effort. So like, that's valuable too.
Right. Yeah. And I think that people, especially with design, still, hold like schooling to, a high regard. And it's like, if you are a self-learned designer, then, it's different than if you went to school for design. And I mean, I'm not in any way saying that, don't go to school or it's not worth it. But I don't think that, that should be a measurement in everything, in the grand scheme when you're looking to hire someone, because I've seen a designer who's gone to school and the way she thinks is just very, by the book. And then I know someone who, didn't, and he, is self-taught, and he's just more like creative and out of the box and just different. So you even see their styles, and what they do. And I don't know, it's just interesting. It's just interesting because like I don't want to say they're at the same level, but I mean, as far as experience and, knowledge, you can tell that both of them have put time and effort into what they do. And they, they're still very different. You will go to one for if you want some real colorful, loud, summery vibes kind of stuff. And the other one, very corporate, I
got you. It's like the difference between hearing. It's like the difference between hearing, learning, and then because you can hear something, like you can go to school and hear all these things, but learning it and then understanding how to apply it is what gives you, I guess you could say, that power. And someone cannot go to school, but they know how they learn, and then they pick up different things and they learn how to apply it. So, yeah, I got you.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Okay, let's see. Through your MBA, you were able to acquire many business skills and then apply them to your business. And this kind of speaks to what we were just talking about. However, we all know that some things can't be taught in school. What do you wish you had known when you started out?
Probably the biggest thing. There was one class that kind of caught my attention and made me think about pricing a little bit more differently. It was a class called Pricing Strategy. Mm-hmm. We're talking about different prices, about how companies, in a sense, calculate price. What was it? 1-800-Flowers, Best Buy, all these businesses, like how did they come up with their pricing? And it really made me think, how did I come up with my pricing? And the truth is, I guess I used what I was most familiar with. I just kind of was like, oh, what did I get paid in my day job? My day job, I'm getting $25 an hour, $30 an hour. Okay, so a good rate is $50. Yeah, that's cool. And just choosing an arbitrary price, not fully understanding that what I was creating could be a lot more than that. And probably one of the things that I did that spoke volumes to me was I made a website for a client. I think I got paid $1,000. I took that. I called other companies. So I called like someone in LA. I called somebody in I think it was LA, Indiana, North Carolina, another, I think San Diego. And I called these other creative agencies and I said, hey, how much would you charge to make a website like this? And all the numbers they gave me were way higher than what I had. It was like 5 times as much, 10 times as much, 12 times as much.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I got to get better with my pricing because I'm putting in all the same effort and producing the same result, but I'm not getting anywhere close to the value. So I wish I knew about pricing more often. But again, a lot of me learning was making a lot of mistakes and then, trying to fix those things. So it's not a failure if you learn something. It's not a failure if you learn something.
Right. That's true. What's your take on social media and its effect on people having patience with their businesses?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I wish I was more active on social media. I'll say 2 things. One, if you're going to be on social media, make sure you're active on it because nothing is worse than someone who stumbles upon your social media and you have nothing on it. I understand getting a certain social media account because you, in a sense, want to save it and kind of curate things to your brand. And and maybe on that social media platform, you say, "This is my Facebook page, but hey, all my talking is on Twitter. I got it." But I'm talking about signing up just to sign up for things, and then you don't really use it. That looks bad. It'd be better if you just said, "Find me on Instagram. That's my main thing," and then you just go all in on that. The other thing that I would say is, I'll be honest. What's my biggest audience right now? Probably YouTube and my podcast combined is, I would say, my biggest audience. Nice. But I'll say something. Everybody wants to be big. Everybody wants 250,000 followers. Everybody wants that blue check on social media. But the one thing that I'll say that people have to be careful of is, you want to be big, you want to be an influencer. But when you get a certain size, to be honest, you get out of touch with your audience sometimes. Because what happens if you say, "Man, I finally got 500,000 followers on Instagram." Okay, great. And then you wake up and your inbox says 300 DMs. You can't answer those. Now, some of those might be legitimate that you can answer and talk to, but now you can't even really serve the audience that you so highly coveted. So I'm just kind of like, it's not a bad thing to have an audience size that you can actually manage and talk to, or an audience size to where people actually know who you are and you are establish a dialogue, right? So I think a lot of times we get caught up with numbers, but that's the biggest thing I'd say. If you do social media, whether it's for business or personal, use it. And if you're not using it, you don't have to be everywhere. That's okay. But if you are going to use it, go all in and just be personable. Be available. Respond to people. Otherwise, they get offended, right? "Oh, this person ignored me."
Right. Right. But
that's why I love Seth Godin. He's a renowned marketing expert. But Seth Godin has a huge following. I've reached out to him on social media. He gets back to me. Even if he gets back to me and says, "I want to say something, I don't have time to answer you." Oh, okay. he got back to me, So if he can do it, I mean, and you can do it too. But be careful what you wish for, because you'll have to be responsible for it.
Right. You calling me out a little bit.
I wasn't trying to.
Yes, I was like, no, I know. I on my Twitter, really, because my Instagram is it's not as crazy as my Twitter, I guess I would say. I've been on Twitter for, I think, like 9 years or so. So I've got it's grown with me, is what I'll say. So I'm like, okay, well, if I'm starting the podcast, I don't want to, make like my personal Twitter, have my podcast mixed in with that. Just because, people kind of get bored sometimes and they scroll and scroll and scroll. And old Teron is just a little immature. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to set this page up, and then I'm going to, take time to make sure I put some stuff in buffer just in case I can't, get to it. But that has not happened.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, don't be too hard on yourself.
It's been hard. Well, thank you. But I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better. That's what I'm going to say. It'll get done. What is some actionable advice that you would give someone who feels like they've reached a glass ceiling in their creative business?
I don't want to offend this person, whoever it is. But honestly and truly, and I'm really talking to myself as well, a lot of times when we feel like we hit a glass ceiling, we haven't really done everything. I'm trying to think of something personal. Okay, here's a very good example for me. I've some of my courses I've released. I've definitely had sales, and I'm happy with those sales. But I definitely thought they would sell more. And I'm like, maybe I should move on to the next idea I have. But the truth is, Nathan, you really haven't done everything you can to market this course. Here's an example. How much have you paid for ads? How many ads did you make? How many ads did you test? I'm like, I had 2. It's like, Nathan, you know these things. You probably should be testing at least 8 different ads. How many videos have you created to market this course? Like, the course is very relevant to people who are in design school or out of design school. Okay. How many colleges did you call and professors did you speak with? Just because, one college has multiple professors, right? So how many professors did you speak with just to say, hey, I have this course. I think it would be very beneficial to your student body to go through it. I can offer you, a university discount. Like, I haven't done those things.
Right.
So I think a lot of times when people feel like they hit a glass ceiling, I'm like, I don't know if you've done everything to say you've hit a glass ceiling yet,
Right.
Yeah, I think the glass ceiling you might have is something that you put there. I mentioned earlier. I just said this as an example. Like, I can't find clients. How many people have you called? Like,
right.
And I threw out 50. That's actually low. So I'm like, if you haven't even called 50 people and you're saying to yourself, why can't I get clients? Okay. Well, if you don't have time to call people, that's understandable. Have you created a sales funnel and utilized something like Facebook or LinkedIn ads so that maybe you can get leads generated automatically? So maybe that someone can see an ad, click on it, sign up for a call session to get in touch with you, and then you wake up the next day and it says, hey, you have 3 people you need to call. So these are just things I'm throwing out there, but I'm like, a lot of times people just haven't done everything yet, and there's a lot more that they could explore.
Yeah, and I feel like some consumers need to see things maybe 3, 4, maybe 6 times, for like, okay, because I'm like that too. And like, Fashion Nova will bombard me with, texts, emails, Facebook Messenger messages. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm going to buy it. But that's what it takes, because I might be too busy. I might be driving when they send me that text. I'm like, okay, I'll look at it later and then, forget. So that's important. And in terms of the glass ceiling, when you say, it's like they put it there or they haven't done everything to reach that next level, it kind of made me think of video games. You have to like complete all the missions before you unlock the next level.
So you're like, why can't I get past this level? Cool. You didn't do this first mission that you skipped on. Go back to it. But also, I'll say this as well. Sometimes, one of the things that, and I like this quote from Sean McCabe, who he started as a hand letterer and had his own computer repair business, but now he's an author and business advisor. But a lot of things what Sean says is the right advice at the wrong time is bad advice. So simply put, you may hear something that is good advice. You might hear something from Gary Vaynerchuk or something like that, but if it's not the right time and you try to walk that out and apply it, you won't get the results you're really looking for. So that's something else to really think about, just to say, start where you are, and it's okay to learn certain advice and different things of that nature, but you have to remember a lot of times the things we see online, read online, and hear from different authors and people is they're giving you advice from where they're at now. They might have forgotten like what it's like to be on a starting block a little bit. So it wouldn't hurt to go back and find some of their earlier works. If it's an author who has multiple books, but it might be easier to find some of their earlier things so you can kind of see what was their mentality before they got to where they are today, and just kind of see, or on YouTube, one thing I do on YouTube is I find somebody, I'm like, this person's good. A lot of times I say, I'm gonna go watch a video from 7 years ago, because I want to see how they were.
I do that too.
From 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever. But I want to see how they were, to see like, okay, were they always brimming with confidence, or did they struggle too, right? And that's just, something to kind of bring it into reality.
Right. I understand that. Yeah. But I started the podcast because, I just felt kind of lost sometimes, when I would reach out, for advice and, just looking for stuff. It was either I was lost or I just felt like it was so much for me to learn to get where I wanted to be. So, I was in starting this podcast, I was hoping that, people would listen and I guess find the information that applies to them and, take it from there. So, someone who might just be starting out will listen to this episode and be like, okay, so I'm not going crazy, I do need to slow it down and, put some milestones to what I'm doing and just kind of feel like, there's someone reaching out saying, hey, it's okay where you are, 8 years, 10 years later, you'll be in a different space and, hopefully still open to learning more and, putting in another 8, 10 years, be in a, better space and be able to give others advice as well. When was the point that you knew your patience and consistency paid off? And describe how you felt. Like, what was there like the moment?
I still feel like I'm being patient. But I'll give an example that's just a little bit more concrete. So in the past, I wanted to get into public speaking because some people say I'm a good storyteller. At least my friends say that and they laugh at what I say.
You are.
But like, oh, Nathan, you're funny. Oh, you're a good storyteller. I'm like, And I wanted to get in public speaking and I applied because some people don't realize this. There are some people that have a big following and people approach them. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times if you want to speak at a conference, you find the conference, you contact the organizer or the speaking committee, and you have to make a pitch of why your session or your talk is relevant to their audience. Having a big following sometimes helps that because they're like, oh, okay. But you have to make a pitch. So I would pitch and I wasn't getting picked up for anything. And I realized, okay, I don't think I've created an opportunity for people to see me. Mm-hmm. So when I started my podcast, Freelance Jumpstart, when I started it, I said I'm also going to do videos for each episode so that people can see me.
Which is very smart.
So I did, before I really started getting speaking engagements, it wasn't until I did like 40 videos to where people, I think it was like 30 something videos, I think. But then it was, because people would say, oh, okay, what you did sounds good, but do you have any examples of you speaking? And I'm like, look over here. So the journey to even me getting like my first public speaking opportunity took months because it was me making a video every week. And I said I was in like video number 40 something, 30 something. That's 30 something weeks, and then it's finally like, oh, okay, then did public speaking. And I'm like, okay, let me add that to my public speaking reel and so on and so forth. So that's an example of patience and consistency. And something else happened on accident that I didn't know, which was by me doing all those videos it's just me and a camera in a room. But by me doing all those videos, and I messed up a lot, but it used to take me 30 minutes to record 5-minute videos. It's terrible. It's not like that anymore. But all that repetition made me more comfortable speaking in front of an audience. I didn't even know that. Because I'd be up there, I'd be up there talking. That's cool, and I'm like, what is the difference between me talking in front of people and me being in front of a camera that's going to be shown to people? So it made me more comfortable. So I'm like, oh, I accidentally cured stage fright through YouTube videos. Oh, nice. So that's an example. And I felt, like I said, I felt surprised that, that was a benefit, but I also felt like all the work I did was not in vain. So I guess I felt a certain level of validation or, it just made me want to keep going. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm probably gonna, borrow that from you. Start doing some videos. This is my first podcast. I felt like I was speaking a mile a minute. I was so nervous. And I'm like, I'm not even speaking to anybody. Why are you so nervous? But it does. It does. I can type the hell out of an email, but talking to people, I'm just like, what do I say? It's just repetition, and then all of a sudden you get very good. So and I think that's why I haven't done videos. Like even on my Instagram, it takes me a million times just to do like one little IG story. I want to do more IG stories myself. So I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
Yeah, sometimes those angles just don't hit me.
You gotta hit them angles.
You look at it, you're like, oh, I look so great. You're like, oh no, that's not nice. So, yeah. What are 3 things that you believe guarantee success in any business?
I think the word guarantee is very tricky. So I'm going to say this a different way.
Okay.
I'll say 3 things are: 1, your ability to learn from failure. As my business mentor, Chris Doe, likes to say, failure is first attempt in learning. So everybody fails. So just make sure you learn something. So that's one thing, learning from failures.
Yeah.
Even if you open a restaurant, you may say, this is going to be the best night. Wednesday is going to be the hot night. Okay. Maybe nobody shows up. Everybody shows up Friday. Okay. Friday's going to be the hot, learn from it, so that's one thing. So learn from failure. The second is similar. Learn to adapt with everything that has happened with COVID and the pandemic and everything. Some businesses adapted, some did not. And I think everybody was, in a sense, hurt by it. It was unforeseen. But some people adapt. Some people adapted better than others. Some people just said, "Okay, we're going to move everything online. Let's go. We're going to do it this way." And they're still rolling. Other people couldn't adapt at all, including some school districts, and they're like really struggling, trying to figure out what to do. So that's the second thing I'd say: adaptability. And then the third thing is take the time. It's going to be difficult. Take the time to take a step back and work on your business instead of in your business. A lot of times as creatives, when it comes to serving clients, we're able to serve them very well. But when it comes to our own things, we know there's something that we needed to fix or rebrand a long time ago. We know there's a website we needed to rewrite a long time ago. We know there's I have an invoicing system that I need to update. I know I'll get another one. I know I need to do a better job at project management and closing sales. And we know all these things, but we just don't do them. So take the time to take a step back. Or even I don't know, I'd even go as far as to say, be active for 10 months and 2 months, so 12 months in a year. Be active for 10 and maybe take 2 months just to work on your business. If you want, it doesn't have to be right on each other, right? But, who knows? Or maybe just say, in a 5-day work week, 4 of them, I'm working client facing and working on things. One of those days, I'm just working on my business, right? Because too often, there's things we know we need to do and we just don't do them. And sometimes that's the thing that is limiting us to do something else, so.
Yeah. Yep. I've been there making lots of excuses too, because I'm still in my 9 to 5.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I'm tired. Yeah, no. I mean, I have a family, so I really don't care who says what.
Quick sidebar. So anyways, I have a 9 to 5. Now, I have a 9 to 5 on purpose because I wanted to learn why I wanted to learn the type of creatives that Fortune 500s work with. So that was kind of my inside thing to figure out, which I pretty much have figured out. Yeah. That's actually a book I'm working on. So I've in a sense figured. Yeah, I figured that out. So I'm working on something to share that with everybody. But yeah, I don't think I'm just saying this quick sidebar. Whoever's listening, sometimes a lot of these creatives online, they want to create an illusion. And the illusion is hey, quit your job, work for yourself. It's amazing. And there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5. And I'll say it again, because when this pandemic hit, I wasn't really worried because I was I got income over here and I have income over here. But I know many creatives who are, solopreneurs, man, they're panicking. And rightfully so, but But I just say all that just to say a lot of people don't want to reveal they have day jobs. There's nothing wrong with a day job. But hopefully the thought is you with your day job, you're still building up what you really want to do. And you can sometimes you can make better decisions that way because I know, because I have done full time. I'll be honest. I said yes to projects that I didn't like, I wasn't comfortable with, and I wasn't comfortable with the client, but I said yes because I needed the money.
Right. I think we
I need the money, yes. and I hated it. And if you really think about it, Brennan Dunn says this. Brennan Dunn has the website wfreelancing.com. I interviewed him. And Brennan Dunn said, he said an interesting quote I never heard him say anywhere else. He said, I left my 9 to 5, started working for myself, and made a 9 to 7. So he's like, I was like, can't wait to leave this 9 to 5. But he didn't know that working for himself was longer hours. And then when he got a team, he talks about this. And then when he built up a team, there are people who are depending on income. So then he started saying yes to things he didn't believe in or want to do, but he needed to make payroll. And now in a sense, it's like, I felt trapped in my job. Now I'm trapped in my own business. And that's not a place you want to get to at all. No. So yeah, I mean, I know I went long with your question, and just a reminder, listeners, the question was 3 things you believe guarantee success. But yeah, just to review those again, learn from failure, and adaptability was another I said, and then how we got to this conversation of what I just said now is Teron just stopped about like, oh, I got 9 to 5 now. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that, Yeah, so that's how we got to where we are now. Just a quick review. Okay.
Yeah. And see, I'm learning from you because I'm like, oh, it's such a good idea that, we would circle back to what the question was, because you get so wrapped up in listening and, agreeing. And it's like, okay. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for teaching me while we're on here. So
yeah, my pleasure.
How do you continue to learn in order to be a better person in your business and in your personal life?
Okay. I'm really thinking through this. Learn. I'm learning every day. A couple of things I have, like there's a stack of books. How many books is over here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. So I have a stack of 15 books like right next to me. I'm always reading, always learning something. Even though I might have heard it before, they may say something or a couple of things that I've never heard that might be the thing that, blow my mind and be revolutionary for me. So I'm always listening to podcasts like the one we're on now. Listening. So subscribe, y'all. So listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos, talking to other creatives and friends who like, man, what do you got going on? Or how did you fix this problem? Or hey, how did you solve this problem? Just hearing from them and seeing what they said. So just really being a lifelong learner, always learning something. That's definitely one thing. And that's helpful for personal life and business, because not everything I read is just for business. Yeah. A lot of it is, but some of it's personal development. Right. I read a book that was called The Courage Not to Be Disliked. Cause I'm a bit of a people pleaser. And that comes out with working with my clients as well, because I can almost never say no. I want to make them happy, but I can't say yes to everything. So I'm reading another book called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud, and I've read that before, but I think I've gotten lax on boundaries. So I was like, I need to go through this again. So that's an audio book I'm going through again.
Yeah, sometimes you have to circle back.
So. Yeah, just always reading just to learn, because there's so much knowledge and wisdom out there. That's what I would say. And then another thing I'd say to learn to be better in business and life is be open to criticism. But that can be tough when it comes to your personal life. Business, you're like, I want to make more money. What do I need to do?
Right.
But personal life is hard, because people start to say things about you
And it gets
And some of them are
confusing.
easy to change and some of them are not. So it's like, it can be tough, but you have to be ready to hear that. Another thing I even throw out there is, don't be afraid. You might need a business coach. You might need a life coach. You don't have to be with them forever, but if you really feel like you're lacking motivation and you're not getting to where you need to be, you might need to, get either a mentor or a business coach to kind of help you with what you're doing.
You get kind of offended when people, say things in there about your personal life. And I definitely agree with getting a, life coach or a mentor or a business coach, just because when you're in the thick of it, you just don't really see kind of like the cracks and the kinks.
That's true.
I'm sure someone could come in here and help me, be a little more organized and, kind of help me with my time management and balancing, but it's like I'm in it every day. So there just might be some things that I don't see. And, being open to, hearing what you could do better.
Yeah, no, you're right. Melinda Livesey, who I also just interviewed. Melinda Livesey,
Look at you.
The way she says it is, it's hard to see the label when you're inside the jar. Like, hey, I got a Gatorade bottle. If I was inside of it, it's hard to see. What does the label say on the outside? You don't know, right? So you might need that different perspective just to kind of, give you a clue at what you need to change.
Right. Where can our listeners connect with you online?
Yeah, my name is Nathan Allotey. I'll spell out my last name, even though it'll be in the show notes, you might be listening. So NathanAllotey.com. That's my website, NathanAllotey.com. That's my name. You go to my website, you can see information about pretty much how to bridge the gap between your creative skill and your business. Because a lot of times whether it be design school, they don't teach you the business side of things. And that's been my whole goal since I did learn the design side and the business side. I wanted to just share both of those together. So, or you can find me on social media, type my name in, I'll come up. I was going to say I'm the only Nathan Allotey, but that's actually not true.
Yeah.
There's a few other Nathan Alloteys floating out there, but if you type my name in, pretty much the first, how many pages of Google? At least the first 4 pages of Google, that's me. When you're at page 8, I can't speak to that. And I don't even recommend going that far because I don't know what you're going to find. But yeah, NathanAllotey.com. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, definitely on YouTube. I'm on all those platforms.
Cool. I follow you on Instagram, Twitter, obviously. Hitting you up on Twitter. And I have a bonus question for you that's completely unrelated. Your last name is Ghanaian, right? So what does it mean?
Allotey. I'll say it like this. Well, the reason I'll tell you why I'm hesitating. Because Allotey is almost Allotey is almost a respelling of a more traditional name that was romanticized when Ghana was colonized. So historically, it may even be not even Allotey. Historically, it could even be Adole or Addo, Addo, right? But long story short, I'll say something similar is, if you have my last name, we are directly related. Because a lot of the people with my last name, there's different tribes in Ghana. So there's different tribes or even people groups within Ghana. So my mom and dad come from 2 different tribes. So, hey, I'm a result of 2 different tribes. So my father is Ga, G-A. So the last name, a lot of people can be traced to a certain area of Ghana. And I've even met people online who had my last name. I'm like, hey, who are you? And he's like, I'm like, where do you live? I'm like, nah, none of my family lives over there. I'm like, where's your grandfather from? Oh, my grandfather's from this city in Ghana. I'm like, oh, mine too. So we're probably related, but we don't know past, great grandfather. But if you have my last name, we're probably directly related.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I wanted to ask, and people always ask about my name, not Joyner, but Wajid. I grew up Muslim, so I have a very Muslim name on the inside of Tehran and Joyner. There's a whole bunch of, so, it's always interesting as people ask me what my name means. And I'm like, no, do you really want to know? Like, you don't want to sit down.
You got 7 minutes? Yeah.
Right.
Thanks for asking. Good question.
Yeah, so of course. I was thinking about it. Like, I'm going to ask you. Remember to ask. But thank you, Nathan. I appreciate you coming on, and thank you for being patient with me and all the background noise. It's like helicopters, flying, everything that's going on. So, well, I hope that you, stay safe, again, with everything that's going on, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to follow up with you and kind of impress upon you to make sure you reach your goals. So
cool.
Man, I'm going to check up. I'm going to check up on you. I'm going to check up on you to make sure you're trusting the process. See, that's where you drop the outro music, like trust the process.
Right.
Thanks for listening to us on the Creatives and Design Cast. Follow us at Creatives and on all platforms. Email questions or submissions to creativesand@1991.agency or jump into the conversation on Twitter using #CreativesAnd.